Dale. Mr. Drexel. Mr. Horton,
Here.
Mr. Showerman here, Mr. Scatella,
Here,
Mr. Winarski. Mr. Copeland,
Here. Couple housekeeping things, the last finance committee meeting was, first time, to entertain public comment. I know we have a few people that wanted to comment, and, in interest of transparency and being able to hear people, we want to do that. But also, with the fact that this is a working meeting and there are many employees in the county that come and speak to us on each of the agenda items. For today's meeting, we will be holding comment till the end of the meeting. Second, Mr. Drexel was hoping to be here, but had to leave real quickly to get on a flight. He may or may not be joining us, and Mr. Minarski will be arriving late. You want to go ahead and call him during.
we're gonna call for an executive session. Sorry, I know everybody's comfortable, but the sheriff's department wants to speak to us. About 10 minutes. About 10 minutes.
How's the pickup? Of council, I had to do something. To throw somebody down and say. All right, now that we've exited executive session, go ahead and continue with our agenda. Starting with item number 1, ordinance number 51. Budget supplemental appropriation of $21,197. Donations spent to the library going to a second read. Heard plenty about that the last time. Keep moving with that. Number 2. Revised revenue and expenditures of $278,420 for reorganization of library staff. Let's see if we have this. Is it Stefano that you're using as your last name?
It is at the moment until my name changes, so it will change. It'll be a Polish last name soon. But it's-
Oh, that's harder.
It'll be way harder.
It's harder to continue. Jim will
But
be
thank you
okay.
for asking.
No problem. Jim will be okay.
Spitalski.
Did you have any other points to add?
Nope, unless you have questions, I'm here in case you have extra questions, to be as clear as possible.
I've been considering this for a bit, and the idea of having, empowering a director to oversee the future of the organization. I am a little bit concerned when we're saving $278,000, that some amount of that, I would like to see reinvested in the institution to show our belief in that institution. There's 4 positions that are vacant and being removed, one of which will not be required because we will have 3 assistant directors. I've been pretty concerned about at minimum, the optics of eliminating the clerk position and a librarian position. I did the math for the balance of the year at somewhere $38,000. Actually, all 3 positions are on there, and I took a picture of it for myself here. If the branch manager position were reclassified as another supervisor at the same wages, that's what's currently on there. The lower of the 2, wages and fringes. All 3 positions are worth a total of $58,000 for the balance of the year, still sending $217,000 to the general fund. And I'm considering making a motion in meeting to at least try to save 2, if not 3 of those positions. Interested to hear people's input. Sure.
Jessica, I'd like your response.
Sure, so, the savings that should this be something that you approve, that we will see is less about what we'll save this year and more about what we will prepare for next year. We all know that IT costs are going up. We know that there are all kinds of costs that we are seeing increase. And part of this is setting us up in a position so that we don't have to come to you asking for an increase in October. So with the savings that you see, it's not just the calculation for what would be added back into the savings for this year, but it is also putting us in a position where we are secure moving into next year's budget.
What do you feel work-wise as far as, do you feel that you're going to be hindered in any way, shape or form?
So a lot of what this reorganization is designed to do is to remove some of the redundancies so that we are actually able to have, rather than 4 people doing exactly the same thing, we will funnel that into, having less repetitive work, having less, less things across the organization that more than one person is putting effort into. So it is my opinion, based on conversations with others and what I see in our organization. I mean, we are already running lean, and we have had the biggest summer library program that has been on record yet. This will add positions to what we have now, and we're continuing to run at the moment. Crippled, but continuing to run at the moment. So I feel as though we can move forward with the reorganization and restructuring as I presented it.
Thank you.
Let's go, we do it. I'll use this your way. So we're at 71.5 employees. Is that what? And we can't go below 7.
71.5 is our minimum for state standard. This puts us at 73.5.
This puts us up to 7.
Yeah, so we have 2 above the state minimum, so that gives us a cushion.
So we go with this plan, and for some reason we lose 3 employees
As long as they're posted, I can count them at audit.
as well. Okay. So the state can't come in.
Nope.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate that I don't think we should be taking any action. They're gonna hand us the budget in about 31 days. And I think that anything that they want to do of this magnitude should be done at that time. And I think that's the proper time to talk about going to the 2025 budget. About 30 days from to her point in getting ready for moving into next year. That's kind of what we do. We'll be charged to do in 31 days. So I know on this or the other major action or expenditure, it comes out prior to the budget, 31 days. I feel that way because they haven't exactly been transparent. The administration financially, in a lot of ways, it could even be taken as obstructive. I think that 31 days, we're probably going to get the most clear view of the budget that we've had since last October.
Then moving on to number 3, companion ordinance. Moving $278,000 to the general fund. That is the easier to discuss. People over there, okay. Moving on to number 4, revised expenditures of $8,194 for creation of a new line item, election facilities and equipment manager position. Okay.
So we discussed that last time. It didn't have the financial documents with that, and in conversation at the last meeting with our solicitor, we suggested that this also be listed next to it in the agenda, a revised expenditure, reclassification with the revised expenditure. So it's on numbers 4 and 5, we have a similar ordinance. So depending on which way you want to go with that, you have the financial documents attached to this one. And for the public's information, this is same person, same position. It's a reclassification that really hasn't been addressed in the last few years. The person and the position actually is required, has a lot more job responsibilities and duties now. We're moving it from an NB10 to an NB15. There's over 800 machines that this is responsible for, 21 for DMs during the election. Things that I guess in the past year, even we've added 300 voting machines and equipment for down there. So it's really just reclassifying what the position requires.
Mr. Chair, Yes,
You can see that there's, that the ordinance is dealt with. In number 4 and 5. To simplify, council could amend the title to ordinance 4 and add the exhibits. And then just strike or remove number 5.
add the exhibits to the existing ordinance that had the first reading.
Right. And then this way, you could read it on Tuesday as a second reading.
Okay. And also as a reminder, the position is going from an hourly position to a salaried position. So the increase that you're seeing is not taking into consideration also the overtime that's been paid in the past.
Am I right to understand that what has changed since the first read is that this is considered a creation of a totally new line? Now,
The first time we put it in as a new line item, well, that was following some ordinances from the past, and then at the meeting, Attorney Tallarico suggested that we as a reclassification, so that's why the language is different.
Yeah, so the amendment will be, and I'll amend this with Karen. The heading will be different because it will reflect simply a reclassification.
And we can just add the exhibits.
so then we'd be removing 5 and adding the exhibits to 4.
And then we, yeah,
And we don't feel that we'd have to do another first read.
no,
No,
you'll
you-
give the second read.
Yeah, at the meeting, someone would move to amend it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Understood,
It's not new, it's just a revised, it's just revised.
okay. Sounds like we knocked out number 5 as well then. Number 6, general fund budget supplemental appropriation of $52,000 for electronic monitoring program initiation. Mr. Catale.
Good afternoon. Does anybody have any questions, or want me to give you a quick overview of what we're looking to do, or? For that? Okay, so with the apparently the permanent elimination of the work release center over at the prison, it eliminated an alternative way of dealing with child support issues and contempts. Obviously, the judges would prefer to put people that are going to jail on contempt in some sort of position that they can continue to work. It defeats the purpose if you're in jail for 90 days and can't work, can't pay child support. So thinking outside the box, we believe this is the first time this is being done in the Commonwealth. President Judge Walsh and Administrator Judge Stichnini and myself have come up with an initiative that's going to allow for support contempt defendants to go on electronic monitoring of the bracelet. We have a brand new system that will allow GPS tracking of these defendants. We'll have windows where they're allowed to leave their home, go to work, a few other places like places of worship and things like that. And they'll be on an administrative probation. And so we believe that that will be a productive alternative to putting them in jail for the ones that deserve some sort of more significant punishment or sort of push to make sure they're paying their support. I don't wanna, kid anybody. The primary goal is, and why we're doing this, is to increase the amount of child support that's coming into the system. That's what we're trying to accomplish. But, we're always talking about the budget, we're worried about money and taxpayers' dollars, we understand that. So we did a deep dive with the administration and with the jail in particular to try to come up with some realistic, hard numbers that we feel very comfortable identifying as cost savings. It's simple to say it's $10 a day to put somebody on electronic monitoring, that's what it costs, basically. And just for the record, we were not permitted under the law to have the defendant pay that fee. the law prohibits any fees being attached to somebody, because the point is, or the mindset is, that's just more money being taken away from the kids to support. So we're prohibited from that. We're working with, local legislative, bodies to try to get some changes made. We've been doing some digging. It's gonna have to involve the federal government, believe it or not, but we're looking at trying to get reimbursement. Folks probably know that domestic relations typically gets 2/3 reimbursed for all their expenses. Right now, electronic monitoring is not included on that list. It's obviously brand new. We're working on that. But the real savings, just from a budgetary standpoint, that we feel pretty strongly about, you know, it's $80 a day to have somebody in prison. It's $10 a day to have them on electronic monitoring. So you think it's gonna save $70 a day? And I don't think realistically that's gonna make any real savings to the, we're not gonna eliminate a pod over there, because we're gonna have 125 less people going to jail. That's the numbers that we anticipate going on electronic monitoring. I'm not gonna try to sell you on that. But, and I encourage all of you to reach out to, I believe he's still the temporary warden over the prison, Mike Coleman, who I worked very closely on these numbers. Last year, they had to move people outside the prison, because of overcrowding problems, at the cost of $75,000. The federal government, as I'm sure you know, also rents beds from the county. They lost $40,000 to $50,000 to $90,000 over the last couple of years, with beds not being available for the feds to utilize that. If we have 125 less people over there, throughout the year, which is what we anticipate, that should bring in some real cost savings. So I just want you to understand that. Again, I encourage all of you, or any of you, to reach out to the sheriff or to the administration directly. It's appropriate to have a conversation, and they'll tell you that they're excited about it, because it's going to save them a lot of problems and some people. But again, to be clear, the motivation for us doing this is because we need to find another way to make sure that these folks are paying their super. Yes.
Thank you, for taking your time to speak with us. Appreciate it. I guess my only comment would be that I would hope that they would keep demographic information, enforcement information on race, so we can track it. You know, this county has racism as a health emergency crisis. That's one of the things I know that we should be able to do better. But when you go to children and youth, for instance, and youth zone, amount of children they take out of the house, it's very, very, very huge disparity in that. And so they don't often track information, although we paid good money for a system for them to do that. But that would be helpful to just dispel anything like that. I'm sure we can do that, of course. Yeah, but Bob, you always avail yourself to Judge Walsh. In the future, though, because I was like the liaison, and I got this when it dropped down here. It'd be nice to have some conversation.
I
about that
apologize.
stuff. You usually.
I typically reach out, and I know,
Yeah, you do.
Councilman Coleman and I had a few conversations quickly, but I try to get ahead of these things. I apologize for not reaching out to everybody. Time to give you the heads up. So that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, you usually do.
For my edification, not entirely sure why there's a companion ordinance. One goes fund balance to domestic relations fund, and then a separate general fund to. Do you have any details to tell them as to why we have a companion ordinance?
So where's the money coming from? This is a grant?
No, it's just a general fund
Okay,
appropriation to the domestic relations budget.
so there's a supplemental appropriation from the general fund to domestic relations.
And then the others from domestic relations general fund to the electronic monitoring. fees.
Correct.
Mr. Chair, Bob, who's gonna implement the program? Who's gonna actually,
Our enforcement officers in domestic relations.
so you won't need a court, there's no court to decide on whether the defendant held in contempt, this is also only for people held in contempt.
Correct.
So you won't have the judge deciding whether the defendant gets monitored or not.
The judge is ordering the monitor. So during the contempt proceedings, there's recommendations that are provided to the judge by our enforcement people. But our family court judges will decide whether or not they're on the monitor. And then if they are, they're placed on administrative probation. And if they, so the purge be set, like we did, we go to jail. Let's just pick a number, $1,000. If they're $5,000 in arrears, they'll set a purge for $1,000. If they pay that purge immediately, they won't go on electronic monitoring at all. Or they could only be on the monitoring for 3 or 4 or 5 days until they can find the money. And then they'll be off the monitor once the purge is set, but they'll still be on administrative probation.
What about if they find a job and they're working? Do they still have a monitor?
They stay on the monitor until the purge is paid. It's just like being in jail, they stay in jail until the purge is paid, or they reach 90 days, so 90 days is the maximum. You don't see that very often. It's not, the average stay in the prison is like 36 days for anyone that's held in contempt. But the most they could be on is 90 days, so.
I don't know how that would look if you're an employer. And your employees are walking on the monitor.
Probably looks better than being.
Well, if it takes them a while to get to the monitor, they probably don't have a job. If they get arrested on Friday
That,
and they're in jail for 2, 3 days,
Well, no,
typically
no.
they don't have a job to go back.
well, you missed my question. If they do go back to it, they're still gonna keep the monitor.
Wear long pants. I was.
Yeah, I mean, that's as opposed to going to jail and they, I mean, more likely that they'd be terminated or someday they would back on their employment if they're in prison. So this is an alternative to going to prison.
Well, no doubt, many of them, not most of them. But there are some that are not. And,
I don't know that I would say that. I mean,
okay, well, then, so then you'll agree that some of them might have just have fallen on bad times or,
correct.
you know, those
Yeah.
types of things.
Right.
And,
One of the things
Yeah.
we're looking to do, I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt, but
well,
so
it-
what we're looking to do, and I just got your analysis, I think I asked a very good question. Some of the folks who've been around for a while may remember that we have a day report center that's up on 18th and SAS and
We all spent that $2 million on.
we spent a lot of money on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
We are now looking, and this is under Administrative Judge Pitchney's initiative and President Judge Walsh as well, we're now looking at, so we've placed these folks on administrative probation. We're gonna have them go up to the day report center, separate from the other population that's up there. And we have caseworkers who are gonna be working on it there. The same impediments that many of these people have that prevent them from paying their child support, could be mental health issues. Some of them don't have driver's license, it could be drug or alcohol problem, whatever those impediments are. It's the same impediments that many of our criminal population have from being successful and not, recidivism, recommitting and going back to jail. So that resource up there is an appropriate spot where we can send these folks as part of their condition of probation. So they're still on the monitor. If they don't have a job, we're gonna get them up there, start dealing with their issues. And again, the point is to increase the amount of money that's coming into the system. So if we can remove these impediments from their, they're stopping them from paying child support on a consistent basis. We've got a few more years left on that lease. And if it's not working at the end of the lease, then we're gonna stop doing it. But as long as the lease is up there, we're gonna do everything we can to get some of these folks up there and take advantage of the system.
now the judge will have the discretion not to put. the
Correct.
monitor.
100% family court judges that are dealing with that.
And that's a slippery slope. Administrative. Prison, so to speak. I mean, it is a civil matter. A lot of these people are in a position where they don't intend to not pay their support.
Well,
They just don't have the income to pay.
contempt becomes criminal, it's criminal contempt, but it's for civil matter, so.
Right. It's usually a poor person's tax, though, because rich people don't have those issues, those impediments you're talking about. Like taking a guy's driver's license and then at the county level.
Correct.
But who, it makes sense, who does that have? To take my son's on child support, he was $300 in arrears. They started the process to take his driver's license.
The state.
Who does that help?
Yeah,
That's federal, right?
Some
It don't help
folks-
the child, it don't help the pet, the mother, it don't help the system, it don't help the
Right.
father.
And even-
And this helps us, cause we save money.
Right.
It don't really generate more money to hit your goal of collecting more, because that guy is unemployed a lot of times, according to society. He's, not only is he on child support, he has a felon, so he's out here looking for a job with an ankle monitor on, to Tom's point. And so I get what they're trying to do, just like I got what they were trying to do with the day reporting center, and I told them then, you remember, I voted against that. I told them, no, it's gonna be a money thing, and that's what it turned out to be. And so this is good, I'm willing to go to try it or whatever, but it is a slippery slope.
Yeah,
So Judge Piccinini says, oh, well, but then you go. And that's ergos, the demographic information, because, I mean, stuff don't happen. I'm not talking about Erie County, I'm talking about other counties.
Yeah.
You know, but, yeah,
and I'll push back a little bit, Councilman, on the money pit. So there's good things coming out of the day report center. We do see. The numbers are somewhere in the 35 in the last year, number of defendants that have been up there that have not recommitted. So we're looking at recidivism rate. So that's really what we're trying to accomplish. And it's the same thing with child support. It's get the folks up there. We can provide resources for them. And again, a lot of these folks, like I said, have the same problems that sometimes it's the exact same population, but sometimes it's separate. But this will allow us to do that. The monitor, it may or may not be an impediment for their employment, depending on what's going on. But again, our hope is it's gonna be a tool to, and quite frankly, if it doesn't work, if we're not getting more money coming in and the system's not working, we're not married to it. At some point, should the judges make a decision to eliminate it as a program?
if this guy says, okay, I can't get a job, I got this home bracelet on, they want me to be home at 9 o'clock. I'm 33, 6 kids. I'm probably gonna, revocate me because I missed my 9 o'clock window or whatever, and coming back to jail. Our biggest thing is Hope County does a whole bunch of services. And they should do wraparound services before a guy leaves that prison, to your point. That's exactly, and so the center would be a great place to convene that type of stuff. But if they want to stop recidivism, you can't send people out of that prison with $2 in their doggone pocket and expect they're not coming back.
So the reentry system that we have in place in the county and social services agencies, ECRSSA, is all working with the day report center now, and they're gonna be working with these folks as well. So, those are all the folks that have those reentry skills and all the things that we've got to provide them to be successful. Our hope is that's what they're gonna be providing up there now. This is a new way of attacking that, quite frankly.
It's still the same with the children at Edmond Ave. Time they should be right. So, really, I'm gonna go because support's always a big thing. I'll try it. But I don't really see this as a neck game for everybody. That guy's still gonna be hopeless. He's got, okay, I ain't in jail out in there. I'm in jail out here. Where's the hope in that? But you got us.
So those two companion ordinances will move forward with those. Moving to number 8, county council adoption of the city of Erie local economic revitalization, tax assistance and improvement of material and real property or areas tax exemption programs.
Other known as LERTA.
LERTA, my favorite word, hearing it since February, starting to talk about this.
I believe the other two bodies.
The other two bodies all signed on, the school board signed on the 14th, and then the city council had signed on at the previous meeting, the 18th of July. And so we'll just come along, clean it up. Any concerns there? Okay. Moving on to number 9, approval of tentative lease agreement with Moxie 3 Real Estate LLC for space located at 901 West 12th Street. Erie County Records Warehouse. Is somebody speaking on that at all?
Just re-upping on the old lease into a new lease.
And this is probably nothing, but I noticed the original lease from 2019 listed 2 properties, 7,000 square feet-ish each. And then the new lease lists another 4,000 square feet at the second property that grew. They
No,
just
we're
got
taking
additional
up more-
space.
We're taking up more space.
Okay,
I mean, just think of all the boxes that go over there, you know.
is
every
that,
year.
it's kind of like partitioned off or
Yeah.
something in the same
And
suite?
each department, Rob used to work with the gentleman that handles it, but it's Aubrey's department that runs that, and, you know, you guys send over boxes all the time.
Right.
Assessment sends over boxes to courts, I mean, it just keeps growing and growing and growing.
We're just taking up a greater amount
Yeah,
of
like
space.
assessment, from what Jen Riddles told me, they have to keep everything over there forever.
Right,
So, you know,
record retention.
there's a lot of stuff over there,
I was just curious.
yeah.
It's a good rate though.
Yes.
Less than $3 a square is. Yeah. All right.
Skin.
Climate controlled, you know, it's good.
Moving on to number 10, to exonerate delinquent taxes, interest and penalties on property acquired by the Erie County Land Bank. Who's the director? I do not see here. I believe that is the same property that came up previously. That they've taken control. Charlie, you must have talked to her about it.
Yeah, they were gonna clean those up and bring them back. They weren't ready before, but they're ready now.
10 and 11, I'm assuming. Okay. With that, the 11's the same as the other property for the land bank. Number 12, approval of the redevelopment assistance capital program grant application. Between the general authority, Impact Quarry and the county of Erie, the catch project. Is anyone talking about that?
No, the administration really didn't even know how it got on the agenda. We haven't even had any discussions with them, or I'm not sure who put this on, or if it came through you guys, I'm not sure.
You know, city of coordinator, I don't know nothing about it.
I didn't hear about anything either, and that concerns me, and I don't know that it's ready. Tina's not here to, speak
And I
on
don't
it.
know nothing about it either.
A little concern when we're, those RCAPs are, few and far between, so I think we need some additional information. I'd like to see all the stakeholders come in and talk about it. I mean, I think the mayor wants to address something probably in the public comment, but I don't see how we can move that forward, not having a discussion.
Right.
It's-
So.
They didn't put it, we didn't put it down, so it's not ours to withdraw, but it would have had to come through the chair of the finance chair to get on the agenda, so I would assume that, I don't know how it got there, so it must have come through your office.
Less curious.
Yeah.
Do you know?
None of us put it up.
The deputy clerk had emailed me from a week ago or so and said this needs to go on the agenda.
Well, it's, just strike it and we just have some conversation about it later, strike that.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on to 13, possible sale of a parcel for the repository sale. That is not the one that's getting pulled, right? That was 14. Yes, 13.
12.
Sorry,
12 was pulled.
14 is also pulled. The
Oh,
gentleman, the
possible.
gentleman decided to not purchase the property.
Okay.
That's what I was talking. Moving on to 15, another parcel sale. Any concerns? Keep moving. 16, another parcel for depository sale. Barry, these are not your relatives.
Not yet.
Moving on to 17, another parcel. Keep moving with that. And Paul, if you had the analysis of the general fund and unassigned fund balance.
Everybody's seen that sheet of paper, so all the ordinances are approved. We'll be in compliance with the county requirement of 2 months general fund expenditures. by $28,042,842.
What's today's date? You want, Paul, Chris, I ain't messing with you one time today.
29.
Yeah, just put that on the calendar, man.
What do we do that?
I didn't mess with y'all. today.
Well, personnel, not over there.
Oh, you do tell.
I'd like to call the personnel meeting to order. First on the agenda, ordinance number 55, 2024, 2024 appointed official salary ordinance, part-time assistant public defender. We had our first read on 8/20/24. Anybody here to speak on that? We heard from them at our first read. That'll move forward. Number 2, ordinance number 2024. Approval of agreement between the County of Erie and SEIU Local 668, Erie County Prison Employees Corrections, Counselors, Clerks, and Bookkeepers.
So this is a contract for roughly, I believe it's 9 individuals at the prison who are counselors and the supporting clerical staff who have voted to unionize with PSSU. This is the entire contract. Typically, we would only bring you updates, but this is a new contract, so that's why it's so lengthy. If you have any questions, we're happy to answer.
These were previously non-bargaining positions and they've unionized?
They've unionized.
Yeah, many years ago, they were unionized and they, for the last many years have been non-bargaining and have chosen to be.
Okay.
Which is why we're treating this as a first contract, like Ann mentioned, the contract is lengthier than normal because it is the full contract, it's not just changes.
And these changes, the wages that are set forward here impact this budget year?
Yes, retros roughly 27, just under $28,000. Which $27,968.92
Over 9 employees.
for 9 employees.
And then it's retroactive to January 1st.
Are you amending the original contract and incorporating these people
No, we are treating this as a new contract with the SSU.
with these 9?
Yes.
Why is it separate? Why is it separate from the other?
Well, because the NCU is the prison union now. This is the PSSU. So it's a separate contract. So
Separate.
now we have 2 unions down at the prison.
I see.
Correct. Yeah.
Thank you.
Did they had split off the contract when the guards went to the other union or?
It's a little bit murky.
Okay.
We don't know, but they never recertified, so they've just been non-bargaining for years. And then they decided to become unionized again.
Okay.
They're not even the same people. Because it was so long ago.
Thank
All right, move that one forward. Number 3, possible appointment of Mary Fisher, CUA, ICP-LEA, ICP-MKG. You can look on page 31 to see what all of those letters stand for, but to the Erie County Library Advisory Board, term to expire August 31st, 2030.
Yeah, in interest of transparency,
Oh, I'm
so
sorry.
everybody's aware.
Just
I know Mary Fisher quite well. I've been dating her for a couple of years. I was not involved with her being on the advisory board. Terry and talked to her separately and offered her that appointment, which I support, but I will abstain from. It's not technically a conflict of interest, but just an interest of transparency while I'll be abstaining.
I want to stand corrected, that expires December 31st, 2025. Number 4, possible appointment of Jeffrey R. Roche, MSCRC to the Erie County Community College Board of Trustees, term to expire August 31st, 2030, brought forward by Mr. Drexel. Number 5, possible appointment of Brandon Schmidt to the Erie County Convention Center Authority, term to expire December 31st, 2025. Board by Mr. Drexel. Number 6, possible appointment of Kimberly R. Kimberly A. Grove to the Erie County Library Advisory Board, term to expire December 31st, 2024. Board by Mr. Bale. Comments?
That was for a resignation.
Number 7 is the tabled item ordinance number 13, 2024, appointed official salary ordinance, Director of Administration. First read 2/13/24, tabled on 2/27/24. With that, I think we'll move into Ms. Rennie, I think, signed up for a citizen be heard.
Thank you, Mary Rennie, City of Erie, District 3. I'm speaking today on proposed ordinance 52 and 53, companion ordinance, restructuring of the library. I know I said before, less is not more, it never will be. My understanding is that staffing vacancies are one of the big reasons for this library staff, managers and administrators leaving county employment. The proposed structure itself is very odd, and I believe you ought to defer this until you're doing the budget deliberations for 2025. But I don't know one single library system anywhere that has a pool of deputy directors. It has been said that this plan is geared to protect library staff, and when I was an administrator, I always said that I would take a bullet for my staff, and I meant it. But that doesn't change the fact that the library exists for the community and not the other way around. And this fundamentally changes the nature of the library due to the partnerships that Ms. Stefano has discussed. It's a fundamental difference, sea change. There has been zero public input on this, just as there has been zero public input on other things. Going by the advantages sheet as far as aligning the library department, that essential functions, honestly, that's a lot of meaningless library lingo designed to sound impressive enough so that you don't ask further questions. It does not provide a clear path for internal growth, but instead sets a very top-heavy level of bureaucracy, which will certainly be a target for future cuts. And we have lost the deputy director position several times over many years of the library. It's always the first thing targeted. And now you have a pool potentially of 3 people who would stand to be eliminated year after year after year, and I believe they wouldn't last long. Supports succession planning. And frankly, if we need a pool of assistant directors who can be ready at a moment's notice to become the library director, that in itself is a serious problem. And it speaks volumes of the current working conditions. I believe it will actually hurt decision-making efficiency, contrary to making it better. And many of you will understand this. There is a thing as too many generals, and this is exactly when this was set up. Regarding the budget, they're hoping that you don't make further cuts and state funding is being dangled before you. It looks like they're even talking about having a carryover, which you can't do in county government, but maybe I'm misinterpreting that. I don't think that the library is currently meeting the state standards, given the number of vacancies, number of postings, and the number of jobs that have been filled at the library. I think that's part of the reason why there's this desperate push to get it restructured so that they can at least post the jobs and thereby meet state standards. Don't fall for it. Don't be rushed into doing something like that isn't advisable. Librarians have been among the most trusted individuals for many decades, centuries maybe. They are trusted and trustworthy. Information that they give is vetted and then relayed without interference or political motives. Libraries have always been neutral. Access to information has never been blocked. The same cannot be said today. And whether you know it or not, much is being blocked and has been blocked right along. We are not permitted to talk to Jessica and her staff, to you, to me, to anyone except by pre-orchestrated design. And even then, she must be accompanied by county administration officials. basic information such as collection, circulation, budgets, architectural drawings, square footage, staffing vacancies, which I know is all part of the library information and files, is denied at every turn, and we've had to do right to know requests on all of it. I have never lied. I have been honest, direct, and factual. But right now I have library staff contacting us tearfully to ask us to please back off because they feel that this plan will somehow protect their jobs. We know that there can be no guarantees, not when it comes to county jobs and employment, not when it comes to budget deficits. There are no guarantees, and other people meanwhile are getting promotions dangled in front of them. And I don't think that's any accident. Defer it, wait till you can vote on it as total of the entire county budget at the very least. But this is not advisable. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else would like to speak? How about the mayor from Corey?
Okay. Well, the reason why I kind of object to this is because the city of Corey is a grantee for the fiber installation. And the estimates on it were done in 2019, and obviously there's a huge amount of cost escalation in that. And we're a little nervous about not only being on the ropes for 1.4 million, but an additional $1 million escalated cost on it. And it's, we just extended it, and surprises like this don't help us as far as being.
We were surprised too, so we're the same boat. But thank you. Anybody else? Go to the order. To adjourn.
Do we need executive session?
Just have-
No, I'm just asking because.
Before we adjourn, because we did that last meeting.
Either today or Tuesday. Either today or Tuesday.
I have time today.
Motion to go into executive session.
So
Thank you.
personnel issues.
You don't need me?
No.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Share a little home emergency.
Something legal and
Personnel.
personnel.
Good stuff.
Paid personnel.
Oh, you can tell, I didn't notice.
I gotta ask you a question.
Oh,
You're asking me.
so you're running the clock? That's why I was wondering.
Hey, that's back on the recording. So we need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Was anybody out there?
More.
No.
They're not.
They're doing it. You have to judge.
I got a fantasy football draft.
No, I took all the.